Hey, so the market has been shifting, and I want to talk to all of you buyers out there who have been frustrated with what's going on in the market, but also are maybe a little bit scared about what's happening and what's going to go happen next. So this can be a longer video, so you may want to take a minute and actually stop what you're doing and listen to it. This is valuable information for anybody who wants to become a homeowner. There's a quote from Warren Buffett where he says, and this is paraphrased, so I don't have this exact, but he says, when people get greedy, I get nervous. When people get nervous, I get greedy. And basically what he's saying is when the masses are doing something, he wants to do the opposite. So what's been happening in our market here in Middle Tennessee is over the last 6 months or so, sellers and their agents have been getting more and more greedy in that they're doing less to get a house ready to sell. They're not worrying as much about the price, just pricing it way up there. And there's been a frenzy that's been going on where there's been a lot of fear in the market and a lot of desperation from buyers. Well, a new thing has been added to the mix where interest rates have gone up, and now the market has cooled down a little bit. And here's the thing, 40% of agents in our marketplace have never practiced real estate in a down market. That means there's a huge bunch of agents who have never had to deal with a price reduction on a listing. They've never had to talk to a client about lowering their price or about what happens if things don't sell in 5 days in this market. So keep in mind that the market has cooled down and there is some panic happening on the listing side of things. There are sellers who are panicked and there are inexperienced agents who are panicked. And what we're seeing is we're seeing a handful of sellers making ridiculous price reductions. And we're also seeing buyers being scared away from moving forward because they're worried about interest rates or about what's going to happen in the marketplace. So here's something I want you to keep in mind as you think about all of this. As a buyer, the media, they present everything about the real estate market from the perspective of a seller. So if the media says the market's great, that means, or it's hot, that means it's great for sellers. That means sellers are doing really well. And real estate is a two-sided coin. When things are good for sellers, they're not so good for buyers. When things are great for buyers, they're not so good for sellers. So what you're seeing now is that you have media people who are saying, oh my gosh, the real estate market is having problems. It's not doing well. And what they're really saying is sellers are now having a tougher time than they did earlier. Buyers have a great opportunity in this marketplace. So let me give you an analogy of what I believe is happening in the current marketplace. Let's imagine a beach on the ocean, full of people having a good time. It's a beautiful day. It's just crowded. Think of Panama City or Destin and what that looks like during spring break. And then imagine the authorities come in and say, hey, there's some medical waste on the beach. We've got to clear this place out. Everybody leaves. Everybody's gone. The beach is empty. So the market is the beach and that ocean. And the medical waste, of course, is the interest rates going up, which has driven everybody out of the beach. So once that beach is cleaned up, some of those people who were on the beach, they're never coming back. They're just going away and they're not coming back. The ones who are coming back, they're coming back with a little more caution than they had before. Then additionally, there's new people who show up and come to the beach who don't know about the medical issue that was there, and they come in and they just understand the beach to be what it is at that time. So if we take that analogy and apply it to the market, we've had an event, the interest rates going up, and the media playing on that fear about the market falling out, what happened back in 2007 and 2008, playing on the fear that that might happen again. But they're doing that. It's driving all the buyers who are on that beach out of the market. So some of them are starting to come back in. Some new ones who have never experienced the interest rates that we had before, and they see 5 and 6% as normal, they're starting to filter back onto the beach as well. So what's happening is buyers are lacking in the marketplace right now. Sellers do not have enough buyers to buy all the inventory that is out there. And eventually they will come back in. The fundamentals in our market are still very strong. Middle Tennessee in general and Murfreesboro in particular are still in the top 10 of the fastest growing markets in the country. There are still tons of people coming into our area, and those people need to buy houses. There is still not enough inventory to take care of all the people who need a house and need a home to live in. So there are people who are going to be buying houses regardless of what's happening in the marketplace. So those people are going to be coming in. The ones who were looking at the prices when the interest rates were 2 and 3%, they're going to be a little more cautious and not as quick to jump back in. The ones who have not been in the market and they're jumping in now, they're going to see 5-6% as a normal market. And in fact, 5 and 6% historically speaking on an interest rate for a mortgage is a very low mortgage amount. My first house that I bought back in the 90s was 7%. And I thought that was a great interest rate when I had it. So we've been conditioned as a marketplace for a decade that interest rates should be below 4. Well, the truth is interest rates when the market is truly healthy, they're all the way from 4 to 7%, and that's where we are right now. So let's back up for a second and talk about this as a buyer. Think about this. If you buyers that have been frustrated by not getting your offers accepted, by feeling like you were out of the market where you couldn't buy a house, you had maybe a VA loan or an FHA loan or a rural development loan, and people were not even paying attention to those because you're being beat out by folks with cash offers and conventional loans. Well, here's what's happened. Back to that Warren Buffett quote. The people are nervous. It's time to get greedy as a buyer. If a month ago I had told you, well, a month ago I had buyers all the time saying, man, if only this market would slow down a little bit so I can get in there and get a house. Well, guess what? Here is your opportunity. The market has slowed down. The fundamentals are still strong. It's an opportunity. I don't know if it's going to last a couple weeks, a couple months, a year, but eventually the buyers are going to come back into this market because people always need a place to live. People always want to buy houses, and Nashville and Murfreesboro and this area in Middle Tennessee, we have tons of people coming into our area, and we'll continue to have tons of people coming into our area, and eventually those buyers will start buying houses again. So we have a window of opportunity. I don't know how long it's going to last, but as a buyer, we have a window of opportunity where you can get a deal. You can have your pick of all the houses that are on the market. You can look at houses that have had crazy price reductions. I've seen price reductions in the $300,000 to $400,000 range of property of $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. So you have an opportunity to buy something at a severe discount because sellers and their agents are panicking. So you have an opportunity to step in and get that house you want. And let's say you have to pay 5 or 6% interest. If you find one of these houses that's 70 or 80,000 less than what it was a month ago, the interest rate is going to be moot. You're going to get the house at the same payment or close to the same payment that you would have had you bought that same house at 2 or 3% up there back when it was priced $80,000 higher. So also a thing to keep in mind is folks with FHA loans, folks with VA loans, folks who can't buy unless the seller pays some of their closing costs. These things are all on the table now. There are sellers who are eager to get their house sold, who will consider offers that just a month ago they wouldn't have considered. So if you are a buyer, this is your opportunity. Don't allow the fear that the media is bringing you and the inexperienced real estate people are bringing you. Don't allow that fear to stop you from getting a house. If you had bought a house a month ago, you wouldn't even be worrying about what's happening now. So if you can get a house now that fits your budget, that you can afford the monthly payment, you shouldn't worry about that. You shouldn't worry about what the interest rate is. You should worry about what your monthly expenses are, and that house is going to go up in value. Owning real estate is the single best way to build wealth in America right now. And if you own a house, it's going to go up in value. If you look at every 10-year period in Middle Tennessee since the 1890s, you can pick any starting point. 10 years later, the value of real estate has always been up from where it was at the starting point. So if you buy something now and you plan on staying there 5 to 10 years, it doesn't matter what your interest rate is. It matters what your monthly payment is. And that is where you need to be building that wealth for you and your family. So ignore the media, ignore the fear mongers. You have a wonderful opportunity to become a homeowner. If you've been frustrated and you have felt like there was no way you were ever going to be able to buy a house, the time is now to act. I don't know how long this window of opportunity will last, but I promise you at some point we are going to have a ton of buyers again, and we are going to have competition for the houses that are for sale. Maybe not at the level it was before, but we will still be in a seller's market. We have a little lull here where we have a buyer's market between two sellers markets. You need to take advantage of it. So if you have been frustrated and you want to learn more, you have questions, you want to find out what's going on, you want more detail, give us a call. We'll help you out.